Dave Soriano, chemistry professor with the University of Pittsburgh-Bradford in Bradford, Pennsylvania, USA. And this short introduction to biodiesel and biofuels is from my course, Introduction to Biofuels. Perhaps you'll find something here of value to you. Biodiesel. Biodiesel contains 88 to 95% as much energy as diesel fuel. Biodiesel can also lubricate well and raise the cetane value of a petroleum-based diesel formulation. The fuel economy of biodiesel approaches that of petrodiesel. Rapeseed, canola in Canada, rapeseed oil, and some sunflower oil is the major feedstock source in Europe. In the United States, soybean oil, because more of this is produced than all other sources of fats and oils combined. Excuse me. The alcohol component of biodiesel contains oxygen, which helps complete combustion of the fuel, a so-called oxygenate, reducing air pollutants such as carbon monoxide. That is not a problem in diesel engines, the carbon monoxide. It's more of a problem in gasoline-powered engines, but definitely incompletely combusted hydrocarbons and particulate matter, PM. Biodiesel blends are sensitive to cold weather and may require special anti-freezing precautions similar to what's taken with standard number 2 petrodiesel. Long-term storage can be a potential problem because it may oxidize, but additives can ensure stability. As you add materials to your biodiesel, of course, cost goes up, manufacturing costs. Now, biodiesel acts like a detergent additive, loosening and dissolving sediments in storage tanks and also causing rubber components to fail. Lower fuel formulations, for example a B20, have minimal problems, and higher values will simply require some attention to fuel injector component structures and the overall fuel handling system. Straight vegetable oil can be run in an engine, but modification probably would be needed. Over the last century, biofuels have always been more expensive than petroleum fuels. Government incentive programs have generally been necessary to allow biofuels to play a role in the marketplace. Adjusting for the difference in energy content, the price of ethanol produced from sugarcane in Brazil is competitive with gasoline when crude prices rise above $35 a barrel. That's U.S. Well, right now as I speak, a barrel of oil is selling for about $90 in the U.S. dollars. Production costs for biofuels. Ethanol from U.S. corn is competitive when oil reaches $55 a barrel. 55 U.S. dollars. The European Union produced biodiesel is competitive with oil prices at $90 a barrel. European Union produced ethanol is competitive at $75 to $90 a barrel. Now, plant oils grown in temperate climates are more expensive to produce than sugar starch crops since they are less productive per hectare, a hectare being 2.5 acres or so of cropland. Despite being generally more expensive than gasoline, biofuels have often appeared cheaper at the pump. This is so because they contain less energy than petroleum fuels, but it is primarily because of government tax credits. Feedstock costs account for the majority of a biofuel's eventual price, while processing costs and a small percentage for transport represent most of the rest. Biofuels produced in more fertile tropical countries are typically less expensive than biofuels production in more temperate climates. Yields are higher, land and labor costs are generally cheaper in tropical countries. The cost of producing ethanol from sugarcane in Brazil is roughly half the cost of ethanol production from grain or sugar beets in Europe. This highlights an opportunity for tropical countries to help meet the global demand for biofuels. Typically, however, policymakers have worked to foster domestic ethanol and impose tariffs and trade barriers to ensure that the benefits remain within their borders. The value of co-products is another key to biofuels cost. Glycerin, glycerol, byproduct, has helped reduce biodiesel cost by 5 to 10 cents per liter. Wet mills in the United States sell about 4 cents per liter of ethanol worth of co-products. However, rapid expansion of biofuel production has saturated the market for some of these products, especially glycerin in Europe. undercutting their ability to reduce biofuels prices. Conventionally produced biofuels, especially ethanol, have become significantly cheaper as industries in Brazil and the United States have developed. In Brazil, ethanol pricing in 2005 was one-third of the cost in 1980. In the United States, ethanol pricing declined by one-half between the early 70s and the early 2000s. Feedstock remains, however, the primary determinant of the cost and the primary limitation of the potential fuel supply. Thank you for listening. Bye now.